Shalom, gang, and welcome to our next study in the Book of Jasher. How y'all been? Alright, gang, tonight we're going to be studying the Book of Jasher, and we're going to be studying chapters 43, 44, and 45. So if you got a Dead Sea Scrolls book, go ahead and grab it, and we'll get to reading tonight, okay? Alrighty then, grab yourself something to drink and hold on, because you and I both know that these stories, and that's what they are, they're stories, these stories are action-packed. So, if we're getting ready to color in the pictures, grab your crayons. Alright, gang, let's get started tonight. The Book of Jasher, chapter 43. When the sons of Jacob had sold their brother Joseph to the Midianites, their hearts were smitten on account of him, and they repented of their acts, and they sought for him to bring him back, but could not find him. Reuben returned to the pit in which Joseph had been put in order to lift him out and restore him to his father. Reuben stood by the pit and heard not a word. He called out, "Joseph, Joseph," and no one answered or uttered a word. And Reuben said, "Joseph has died through fright, or some serpent has caused him death." Reuben descended into the pit, searched for Joseph, and could not find him in the pit. And he came out again. And Reuben tore his garments, and he said, "The child is not there, and how shall I reconcile my father about him if he is dead?" He went to his brothers and found them grieving on account of Joseph, and counseling together how to appease their father about him. Reuben said to his brothers, "I came to the pit, and behold, Joseph was not there. What then shall we say to our father? For my father will only seek the lad from me." His brothers answered him, saying, "Thus and thus we did, and our hearts afterwards struck us on account of this act. We now sit to seek a pretext how we shall appease our father to it." And Reuben said to them, "What is this you have done to bring down the gray hairs of our father in sorrow to the grave? This thing is not good that you have done." And Reuben sat with them. They all rose up and swore to each other not to tell this thing to Jacob. They all said, "The man who will tell this to our father or his household, or who will report this to any of the children of the land, we will all rise up against him and kill him with the sword." And the sons of Jacob feared each other in this matter. From the youngest to the oldest, no one spoke a word, and they concealed the thing in their hearts. Afterward, they sat down to determine and invent something to say to their father Jacob concerning all these things. Issachar said to them, "Here is advice for you if it seems good in your eyes to do this thing. Take the coat which belongs to Joseph and tear it, and kill a kid of the goats and dip it in its blood, and send it to our father. And when he sees it, he will say, 'An evil beast has devoured him.' Therefore tear his coat, and behold, his blood will be on his coat. And by your doing this we shall be free of our father's murmurings." Nice guys. Issachar's advice pleased them, and they listened to him, and they did according to the word of Issachar, which he had counseled them. They hurried and took Joseph's coat and tore it, and they killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood of the kid, and they trampled it in the dust. They sent the coat to their father Jacob by the hand of Naphtali, and they commanded him to say these words: "We had gathered in the cattle, and had come as far as the road to Shechem, and farther, when we found this coat on the road in the wilderness, dipped in blood and in dust. Now therefore know whether it is your son's coat or not." Psh, right. And Naphtali went, and he came to his father, and he gave him the coat, and he spoke to him all the words which his brothers had commanded him. Jacob saw Joseph's coat and knew it, and he fell on his face to the ground, and became as still as a stone. Afterward he rose up and cried out with a loud, weeping voice, and said, "It is the coat of my son Joseph." Jacob hurried and sent one of his servants to his sons, who went to them and found them coming along the road with the flock. The sons of Jacob came to their father about evening, and behold, their garments were torn, and dust was on their heads. And they found their father crying out and weeping with a loud voice. Jacob said to his sons, "Tell me truly, what evil have you this day suddenly brought on me?" They answered their father Jacob, saying, "We were coming along this day after the flock had been gathered in, and we came as far as the city of Shechem by the road in the wilderness. We found this coat filled with blood on the ground, and we knew it, and we sent it to you so you could know it." Jacob heard the words of his sons, and he cried out with a loud voice, and he said, "It is the coat of my son. An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph is rent in pieces. For I sent him this day to see whether it was well with you and well with the flock, and to bring me word again from you. He went as I commanded him, and this has happened to him today, while I thought my son was with you." And the sons of Jacob answered and said, "He did not come to us, neither have we seen him from the time of our going out from you until now." Nice lies. When Jacob heard their words, he cried out aloud, and he rose up and tore his garments. He put sackcloth on his loins, and he wept bitterly. He mourned and lifted up his voice in weeping, and exclaimed and said these words, "Joseph, my son, O my son Joseph, I sent you this day after the welfare of your brothers, and behold, you have been torn in pieces. Through my hand has this happened to my son. It grieves me for you, Joseph, my son, it grieves me for you. How sweet you were to me during life, and now how greatly bitter is your death to me. Oh, that I had died in your stead, Joseph, my son, for it grieves me sadly for you, my son. Oh, my son Joseph, my son, where are you, and where have you been drawn? Arouse from your place and come and see my grief for you, O my son Joseph. Come now and number the tears gushing from my eyes down my cheeks, and bring them up before the Elohim, that his anger may be turned from me. O Joseph, my son, how did you fall? By the hand of one by whom no one has fallen from the beginning of the world to this day. For you have been put to death by the smiting of an enemy, inflicted with cruelty. But certainly I know that this has happened to you on account of the multitude of my sins. Arise now and see how bitter is my trouble for you, my son, although I did not rear you, nor fashion you, nor give you breath and soul. But it was Yahuwah who formed you, and built your bones, and covered them with flesh, and breathed in your nostrils the breath of life, and then he gave you to me. Now truly Yahuwah who gave you to me, he has taken you from me. Such then has happened to you. And Jacob continued to speak like these words concerning Joseph, and he wept bitterly. He fell to the ground and became still. All the sons of Jacob, seeing their father's troubles, repented of what they had done, and they also wept bitterly. But they still didn't tell the truth. And Judah rose up and lifted his father's head from the ground, and placed it on his lap. He wiped his father's tears from his cheeks, and Judah wept a very great weeping, for his father's head was reclined on his lap, still as a stone. The sons of Jacob saw their father's trouble, and they lifted up their voices and continued to weep. Jacob was yet lying on the ground, still as a stone. And all his sons and his servants' children rose up and stood round him to comfort him, and he refused to be comforted. The whole household of Jacob rose up and mourned a great mourning on account of Joseph and their father's trouble. And the sad news reached Isaac, the son of Abraham, the father of Jacob, and he wept bitterly on account of Joseph, he and all his household. He went from the place where he lived in Hebron, and his men with him, and he comforted Jacob his son, but he refused to be comforted. And after this, Jacob rose up from the ground, and his tears were running down his cheeks. And he said to his sons, Rise up, and take your swords and your bows, and go forth into the field, and seek whether you can find my son's body, and bring it to me, that I may bury it. Seek also, I pray you, among the beasts, and hunt them, and that which shall come the first before you seize, and bring to me. Perhaps the Elohim will this day pity my affliction, and prepare before you that which tore my son in pieces. Bring it to me, and I will avenge the cause of my son. And his sons did as their father had commanded them. And they rose up early in the morning, and each took his sword and his bow in his hand, and they went forth into the field to hunt the beast. And Jacob was still crying aloud and weeping, and walking to and fro in the house, and smiting his hands together, saying, Joseph, my son, Joseph, my son. The sons of Jacob went into the wilderness to seize the beasts, and there a wolf came toward them. They seized him, and brought him to their father, and said to him, This is the first we have found, and we have brought him to you, as you did command us, and your son's body we could not find. And Jacob took the beast from the hands of his sons, and he cried out with a loud and weeping voice, holding the beast in his hand. And he spoke with a bitter heart to the beast, Why did you devour my son Joseph? And how did you have no fear of the Elohim of the earth, or of my trouble for my son Joseph? You did devour my son for nothing. He committed no violence. I was responsible for him. Elohim will require him that is persecuted. And the Elohim opened the mouth of the beast in order to comfort Jacob with its words. And it answered Jacob, and spoke these words to him. As Yahuwah lives, who created us in the earth, and as your soul lives, my Lord, I did not see your son, neither did I tear him to pieces. But from a distant land I also came to seek my son, who went from me this day, and I know not whether he is living or dead. And I came this day into the field to seek my son, and your sons found me, and seized me, and increased my grief. And have this day brought me before you, and I have now spoken all my words to you. The wolf is speaking to him. Yah is putting words in the wolf's mouth to speak to Jacob. Verse 46, Now therefore, O son of man, I am in your hands, and do to me this day as it may seem good in your sight. But by the life of Yahuwah who created me, I did not see your son, nor did I tear him to pieces. Neither has the flesh of men entered my mouth all the days of my life. When Jacob heard the words of the beast, he was greatly astonished, and sent forth the beast from his hand, and she went her way. And Jacob was still crying aloud and weeping for Joseph day after day, and he mourned for his son many days. Chapter 44. The sons of Ishmael, who had bought Joseph from the Midianites, who had bought him from his brothers, went to Egypt with Joseph. They came on the borders of Egypt. When they came near to Egypt, they met 4 men, the sons of Medan, the son of Abraham, who had gone forth from the land of Egypt on their journey. The Ishmaelites said to them, Do you desire to purchase this slave from us? And they said, Deliver him over to us. And they delivered Joseph over to them. They observed him that he was a very good-looking youth, and they purchased him for 20 shekels. The Ishmaelites continued their journey to Egypt, and the Midianites also returned that day to Egypt. The Midianites said to each other, "Look, we have heard that Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, seeks a good servant who will stand before him to attend him, and to make him overseer over his house and all belonging to him. So let us sell him for what we may desire, if he is able to give us that which we shall require for him." And these Midianites came to the house of Potiphar, and said to him, "We have heard that you seek a good servant to attend you. Here we have a servant that will please you. If you can give to us that which we may desire, and we will sell him to you." And Potiphar said, "Bring him before me, and I will see him. If he please me, I will give to you that which you may require for him." And the Midianites went and brought Joseph and placed him before Potiphar, and he observed him, and he pleased him greatly. And Potiphar said to them, "Tell me what you require for this youth." And they said, 400 pieces of silver we desire for him." Wow, the price really went up on him, huh? Potiphar said, "I will give it if you bring me the record of his sale to you, and will tell me his history, for perhaps he may be stolen. For this youth is neither a slave nor the son of a slave, but I observe in him the appearance of a goodly and handsome person." And the Midianites went and brought to him the Ishmaelites, who had sold him to them. And they told him, saying, "He is a slave, and we sold him to them." And Potiphar heard the words of the Ishmaelites in his giving the silver to the Midianites. And the Midianites took the silver and went on their journey. The Ishmaelites also returned home. Potiphar took Joseph and brought him to his house, that he might serve him. And Joseph found favor in the sight of Potiphar. He placed confidence in him and made him overseer over his house, and all that belonged to him he delivered over into his hand. And the Elohim was with Joseph, and he became a prosperous man. The Elohim blessed the house of Potiphar for the sake of Joseph. And Potiphar left all that he had in the hands of Joseph. Joseph was one that caused things to come in and go out, and everything was regulated by his wish in the house of Potiphar. And Joseph was 18 years old, a youth with beautiful eyes and of a very good appearance, and no one was like him in all the land of Egypt. At that time, while he was in his master's house, going in and out of the house, and attending his master, Zelicah, his master's wife, lifted up her eyes toward Joseph, and she looked at him, and behold, he was a youth, handsome and well-favored. And she coveted his beauty in her heart, and her soul was fixed on Joseph, and she enticed him day after day. And Zelicah persuaded Joseph daily, but Joseph did not lift up his eyes to give attention to his master's wife. And Zelicah said to him, "How goodly are your appearance and form! Truly I have looked at all the slaves, and have not seen so beautiful a slave as you are." Joseph said to her, "Certainly he who created me in my mother's womb created all mankind." And she said to him, "How beautiful are your eyes, with which you have dazzled all the inhabitants of Egypt, men and women." He said to her, "How beautiful they are while we are alive, but should you behold them in the grave, certainly you would move away from them." And she said to him, "How beautiful and pleasing are all your words. Take now, I pray you, the harp which is in the house, and play with your hands, and let us hear your words." And he said to her, "How beautiful and pleasing are my words when I speak the praise of my Elohim and his glory." And she said to him, "How very beautiful is the hair of your head, Find the golden comb which is in the house. Take it, I pray you, curl the hair of your head. And he said to her, How long will you speak these words? Stop uttering these words to me, and rise and attend to your domestic affairs. And she said to him, There is no one in my house, and there is nothing to attend to but to your words and to your wish. Yet in spirit of all this, she could not bring Joseph to her, neither did he place his eyes on her, but directed his eyes below the ground. Zilpah desired Joseph in her heart that he should lie with her. At that time that Joseph was sitting in the house doing his work, Zilpah came and sat before him, and she enticed him daily with her discourse to lie with her, or even to look at her. But Joseph would not listen to her. And she said to him, If you will not do according to my words, I will treat you with the punishment of death, and put an iron yoke on you. And Joseph said to her, Certainly, Yahuwah who created man loosens the fetters of prisoners, and it is he who will deliver me from your prison and from your judgment. When she could not persuade him, and her soul being still fixed on him, her desire threw her into a grave sickness. All the women of Egypt came to visit her and said to her, Why are you in this declining state? You lack nothing. Certainly your husband is a great and esteemed prince in the sight of the king. Should you lack anything of what your heart desires? Zilpah answered them, saying, This day it shall be made known to you from where this disorder comes which you see in me. And she commanded her maidservant to prepare food for all the women. She made a banquet for them, and all the women ate in the house of Zilpah. And she gave them knives to peel the citron to eat them, and she commanded that they should dress Joseph in costly garments, that he should appear before them. And Joseph came before their eyes, and all the women looked on Joseph, and could not take their eyes from off him. They all cut their hands with the knives that they had in their hands, and the citron that were in their hands were filled with blood. And they knew not what they had done, but they continued to look at the beauty of Joseph, and did not turn their eyelids from him. Zilpah saw what they had done, and she said to them, What is this work that you have done? Look, I gave you citron to eat, and you have all cut your hands. And all the women saw their hands, and truly they were full of blood, and their blood flowed down on their garments. They said to her, This slave in your house has overcome us, and we could not turn our eyelids from him on account of his beauty. And she said to them, Certainly, this happened to you in the moment that you looked at him, and you could not contain yourselves from him. How then can I refrain when he is constantly in my house, and I see him day after day going in and out of my house? How then can I keep from declining, or even from perishing on account of this? Silly women, filled with evil, yeah. Verse 34. And they said to her, The words are true, for who can see this beautiful form in the house and refrain from him? And is he not your slave and attend in your house? And why do you not tell him that which is in your heart, but allow your soul to perish through this matter? They're egging her on. And she said to them, I am daily endeavoring to pursue him, and he will not consent to my wishes. I promised him everything that is good, and yet I could meet with no return from him. I am therefore in a declining state, as you see. Zilpah became very ill on account of her desire toward Joseph, and she was desperately lovesick on account of him. But all the people of the house of Zilpah and her husband knew nothing of this matter, that Zilpah was ill on account of her love to Joseph. All the people in her house asked her, saying, "Why are you ill and declining, and lack nothing?" And she said to them, "I know not this thing which daily is increasing on me." All the women and her friends came daily to see her, and they spoke with her. And she said to them, "This can only be through the love of Joseph." They said to her, "Entice him, and seize him secretly. Perhaps he may listen to you and put off this death from you." And Zilkah became worse from her love to Joseph, and she continued to decline, till she scarcely had strength to stand. On a certain day Joseph was doing his master's work in the house, and Zilkah came secretly and fell suddenly on him. Joseph rose up against her. He was more powerful than she, and he brought her down on the ground. And Zilkah wept on account of the desire of her heart toward him, and she begged him with weeping, and her tears flowed down her cheeks. She spoke to him in a voice of pleading and in bitterness of soul, saying, "Have you ever heard, seen, or known of so beautiful a woman as I am, or better than myself, who speaks daily to you, falls into a decline through love for you, confer all this honor on you, and still you will not listen to my voice? What a harlot! If it be through fear of your master that he punish you, as the king lives, no harm shall come to you from your master through this thing. Now, therefore, do listen to me, and consent for the sake of the honor which I have conferred on you, and put off this death from me, for why should I die for your sake?" And she ceased to speak. And Joseph answered her, saying, "Keep away from me, and leave this matter to my master. Behold, my master knows not what there is with me in the house, for all that belongs to him he has delivered into my hands. And how shall I do these things in my master's house?" Excuse me. "For he has also greatly honored me in his house, and he has also made me overseer over his house, and he has exalted me, and there is no one greater in this house than I am. And my master has refrained nothing from me, excepting you, who are his wife. How then can you speak these words to me? And how can I do this great evil, a sin to Yahuwah and to your husband?" There goes my nose. Verse 46, "Now therefore keep away from me, and speak no more such words as these, for I will not listen to your words." But Zilkah would not listen to Joseph when he spoke these words to her. She daily enticed him to listen to her. It was after this that the brook of Egypt was filled above all its sides, and all the inhabitants of Egypt went forth, and also the king and princes went forth with timbrels and dances, for it was a great rejoicing in Egypt, and a holiday at the time of the overflow of the sea Sihor. And they went there to rejoice all the day. And when the Egyptians went out to the river to rejoice, as was their custom, all the people of the house of Potiphar went with them. But Zilkah would not go with them, for she said, "I am unable to." She remained alone in the house, and no other person was with her in the house. And she rose up and ascended to her temple in the house, and dressed herself in princely garments, and she placed on her head precious stones of onyx stones, inlaid with silver and gold. And she beautified her face and skin with all sorts of women's purifying liquids, and she perfumed the temple and the house with cassia and frankincense, and she spread myrrh and aloes. Afterwards she sat in the entrance of the temple, in the passage of the house, through which Joseph passed to do his work. And then Joseph came from the field and entered the house to do his master's work. He came to the place through which he had to pass, and saw all the work of Zilkah, and he turned back. Zilkah saw Joseph turning back from her. She called out to him, saying, "What ails you, Joseph? Come to your work, and look, I will make room for you until you will have passed to your seat." And Joseph returned, and came to the house, and passed from there to the place of his seat. And he sat down to do his master's work as usual. But behold, Zilpah came to him, and stood before him in princely garments, and the scent from her clothes was spread some distance. She hurried, and caught hold of Joseph in his garments, and said to him, "As the king lives, if you will not perform my request, you shall die this day." And she hurried, and stretched forth her other hand, and drew a sword from beneath her garments, and she placed it on Joseph's neck, and said, "Rise, and perform my request, and if not, you will die this day." Wow! Talk about rape. Oh my goodness. Verse 54, Joseph was afraid of her doing this thing, and he rose up to flee from her. She seized the front of his garments, and in the terror of his flight, the garment which Zilpah seized was torn. Joseph left the garment in the hand of Zilpah, and he fled, and got out, for he was afraid. Yeah, I can understand why he was afraid. Yeah. Verse 55, when Zilpah saw that Joseph's garment was torn, and that he had left it in her hand, and had fled, she was afraid for her life, that the report should spread concerning her. She rose up and acted with cunning, and put off the garments in which she was dressed, and she put on her other garments, covering the crime. Okay, verse 56. She took Joseph's garment, and laid it beside her, and she went and seated herself in the place where she had sat in her illness, before the people of her house had gone out to the river. She called a young lad, who was then in the house, and she ordered him to call the people of the house to her. And when she saw them, she said to them with a loud voice and lamentation, "See what a Hebrew your master has brought to me in the house, for he came this day to lie with me. For when you had gone out, he came to the house, and seeing that there was no person in the house, he came to me, and caught hold of me with intent to lie with me. And I seized his garments, and tore them, and called out against him with a loud voice. And when I had lifted up my voice, he was afraid for his life, and left his garment before me, and fled." The people of her house spoke nothing, but their wrath was very much set ablaze against Joseph. And they went to his master, and told him the words of his wife. Potiphar came home enraged, and his wife cried out to him, saying, "What is this thing that you have done to me in bringing a Hebrew servant into my house? For he came to me this day to sport with me. Thus did he do to me this day." Potiphar heard the words of his wife, and ordered Joseph to be punished with severe stripes, and they did so to him. So he got whooped on accordance of doing nothing. Verse 63. While they were smiting him, Joseph called out with a loud voice, and he lifted up his eyes to heaven, and he said, "O Yahuwah, Elohim, you know that I am innocent of all these things, and why shall I die this day through falsehood, by the hand of these uncircumcised wicked men, whom you know?" And while Potiphar's men were beating Joseph, he continued to cry out and weep. And there was a child there 11 months old. And the Elohim opened the mouth of the child, and he spake these words before Potiphar's men, who were smiting Joseph, saying, What do you want of this man? And why do you do this evil to him? My mother speaks falsely and utters lies. Thus was the transaction. And the child told them according all that happened, and all the words of Zilpah to Joseph. Day after day did he relate to them. And all the men heard the words of the child, and they wondered greatly at the child's words. And the child ceased to speak, and became still. Potiphar was very much ashamed at the words of his son, and he commanded his men not to beat Joseph any more, and the men ceased from beating Joseph. Potiphar took Joseph and ordered him to be brought to justice before the priests who were judges belonging to the king, in order to judge him concerning this affair. Potiphar and Joseph came before the priests who were the king's judges, and he said to them, "Decide, I beg you, what judgment is due to a servant, for thus has he done." And the priest said to Joseph, "Why did you do this thing to your master?" And Joseph answered them, saying, "Not so, my lords, thus was the matter." And Potiphar said to Joseph, "Certainly I entrusted in your hands all that belonged to me, and I withheld nothing from you but my wife, and how could you do this evil?" And Joseph answered, saying, "Not so, my lord, as the Elohim lives, and as your soul lives, my lord, the word which you did hear from your wife is untrue, for thus was the affair this day. A year had elapsed to me since I have come to your house. Have you seen any iniquity in me, or anything which might cause you to demand my life?" The priest said to Potiphar, "Send, we pray you, and let them bring before us Joseph's torn garment, and let us see the tear in it, and if it shall be that the tear is in front of the garment, then his face must have been opposite to her, and she must have caught hold of him to come to her, and with deceit did your wife do all that she has spoken." They brought Joseph's garments before the priests who were judges, and they saw, and behold, the tear was in front of Joseph, and all the judging priests knew that she had pressured him, and they said, "The judgment of death is not due to this slave, for he has done nothing, but his judgment is that he be placed in the prison house on account of the report which through him has gone forth against your wife." Potiphar heard their words, and he placed him in the prison house, the place where the king's prisoners are confined. And Joseph was in the house of confinement 12 years. And in spite of this, his master's wife did not turn from him, and she did not cease from speaking to him day after day to listen to her. And at the end of 3 months, Zilkah continued going to Joseph to the house of confinement day by day, and she enticed him to listen to her. And Zilkah said to Joseph, "How long will you remain in this house? But listen now to my voice, and I will bring you out of this house." She's still after it. And Joseph answered her, saying, "It is better for me to remain in this house than to listen to your words, to sin against Yahuwah." She said to him, "If you will not perform my wish, I will pluck out your eyes, add fetters to your feet, and will deliver you into the hands of them whom you do not know before." Really? Joseph answered her and said, "Behold, the Elohim of the whole earth is able to deliver me from all that you can do to me, for he opens the eyes of the blind, and loosens those that are bound, and preserves all strangers who are unacquainted with the land." And when Zilkah was unable to persuade Joseph to listen to her, she ceased going to entice him. Joseph was still confined in the house of confinement, and Jacob, the father of Joseph, and all his brothers who were in the land of Canaan still mourned and wept in those days on account of Joseph, for Jacob refused to be comforted for his son Joseph, and Jacob cried aloud and wept and mourned all those days. Chapter 45. It was in that year, which is the year of Joseph's going down to Egypt, after his brothers had sold him, that Reuben, the son of Jacob, went to Timnah, and took a wife, Eluaram, the daughter of Abi, the Canaanite, and he came to her. Mingling with the nations. Verse 2, "And Eluaram, the son of Reuben, the wife of Reuben, conceived and gave birth to him Hanok, Palu, Shezron, and Carmi, 4 sons. And Simon his brother took his sister Dinah for a wife, and she gave birth to him Memuel, Yamin, Ahad, Jachin, Zochar, 5 sons. Afterward he came to Bernah, the Canaanish woman. The same is Bernam, whom Simon took captive from the city of Shechem. And Bunah was before Dinah, and attended to her. Simon came to her, and she gave birth to him, Saul. And Judah went at that time to Adullam, and he came to a man in Adullam, and his name was Harah. Judah saw that the daughter of the man from Canaan, and her name was Eliath, the daughter of Shua. He took her, and came to her, and Eliath gave birth to Judah, Onan, and Shiloh, 3 sons. Levi and Issachar went to the land of the east, and they took to themselves for wives the daughter of Jobab, the son of Yoktan, the son of Eber. So they went in the right direction. Jobab, the son of Yoktan, had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Adonah, and the name of the younger was Arida. And Levi took Adonah, and Issachar took Arida, and they came to the land of Canaan to their father's house. Adonah gave birth to Levi, Gershon, Kahath, and Merari, 3 sons. Heard those names before, haven't we? And Arida gave birth to Issachar, Tolah, Puvah, Job, and Shimron, 4 sons. Dan went to the land of Moab, that figures, and took for a wife Aphaleth, the daughter of Shamudan, the Moabite, and he brought her to the land of Canaan. Oh boy. Aphaleth was unable to conceive. She had no children. And Yahuwah afterward remembered Aphaleth, the wife of Dan, and she conceived and gave birth to a son. She called his name Cherishim. And Gad and Naphtali went to Haran, and took from there the daughters of Amram, the son of Uz, the son of Nahor, for wives. So they went to Uncle Laban's place and picked out a couple of wives there. That's better than going to Moab. Yikes. Verse 10. And these are the names of the daughters of Amram. The name of the elder was Merimah, and the name of the younger Uzith. Naphtali took Merimah, and Gad took Uzith, and brought them to the land of Canaan to their father's house. And Merimah gave birth to Naphtali, Yakzeel, Gunai, Yazer, and Shalem, 4 sons. And Uzith gave birth to Gad, Ziphion, Shagai, Shunai, Esbon, Eri, Rodi, and Arli, 7 sons. Asher went forth and took Adon, the daughter of Aphlal, the son of Hadad, the son of Ishmael, for a wife, and he brought her to the land of Canaan. Wow, there's some bad choices going on there. And Adon, the wife of Asher, died in those days. She had no children. It was after the death of Adon that Asher went to the other side of the river and took for a wife Hadurah, the daughter of Abmiel, the son of Eber, the son of Shem. So he made a mistake the first time, but then he turned around and did the right thing the second time. The young woman was of a beautiful appearance, and a woman of sense, and she had been the wife of Machael, the son of Elam, the son of Shem. Hadurah gave birth to the daughter to Machael, and he called her name Sirach. And Machael died after this, and Hadurah went and remained in her father's house. After the death of the wife at Asher, he went and took Hadurah for a wife, and brought her to the land of Canaan. And Sirach, her daughter, he also brought with them. She was 3 years old, and the child was brought up in Jacob's house. That's good. There's nothing wrong there. And the girl was of a beautiful appearance, and she went into the holy ways of the children of Jacob. She lacked nothing, and the Elohim gave her wisdom and understanding. Hadurah, the wife of Asher, conceived and gave birth to him Yimnah, Yishvah, Yishvai, and Beriah, 4 sons. Zebulun went to Midian, and took for a wife Marishah, the daughter of Molad, the son of Abiadah, the son of Midian, and brought her to the land of Canaan. And Marishah gave birth to Zebulun, Sered, Elon, Yachleel, 3 sons. Jacob sent to Aram the sons of Zobah, the son of Terah, and he took for his son Benjamin, Machlah, the daughter of Aram, and she came to the land of Canaan to the house of Jacob. Benjamin was 10 years old when he took Machlah, the daughter of Aram, for a wife. Wow, they hooked up Benjamin at 10 years old. Well, at least Jacob made sure that he didn't go to Moab. Jeez. And Machlah conceived and gave birth to Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gerah, Naaman, 5 sons. Benjamin afterward went and took for a wife Arbath, the son of Shimron, the son of Abraham, in addition to his first wife, and he was 18 years old. 18 years old and had 2 wives. Arbath gave birth to Benjamin, Akai, Vosh, Mapim, Shapim, and Ord, 5 sons. In those days Judah went to the house of Shechem, and took Tamar, the daughter of Elam, the son of Shem, for a wife for his firstborn And came to his wife Tamar, and she became his wife. When he came to her, he outwardly destroyed his offspring, and his work was evil in the sight of the Elohim, and the Elohim killed him. Wow. It was after the death of Judah's firstborn, that Judah said to Onan, "Go to your brother's wife and marry her as the next of kin, and raise up children to your brother." And Onan took Tamar for a wife, and he came to her. Onan also did like works of his brother, and his work was evil in the sight of the Elohim, and he killed him also. When Onan died, Judah said to Tamar, "Remain in your father's house until my son Shiloh will have grown up." Judah had no more delight in Tamar, to give her to Shiloh, for he said, "Perhaps he will also die like his brothers, only if he does the same stupid things his brothers did." And Tamar rose up and went and remained in her father's house, and Tamar was in her father's house for some time. At the revolution of the year, Adaliah, the wife of Judah, died. Judah was comforted for his wife, and after the death of Adaliah, Judah went up with his friends, Harak, to Timnah to shear their sheep. Tamar heard that Judah had gone up to Timnah to shear the sheep, and that Shiloh was grown up, and Judah did not delight in her. And Tamar rose up and put off the garments of her widowhood. She put on a veil and enticed covering herself, and she went and sat in the public thoroughfare which is on the road to Timnah. Judah passed and saw her, and took her, and he came to her, and she conceived by him. At the time of being delivered, there were twins in her womb, and he called the name of the first Perez, and the name of the second Zerah. And that's the end of chapter 45. Well, there's quite a bit of coloring going on there. Quite a bit of coloring in the case of Joseph, what was going on with him down in Mitzrayim in Egypt, and what the rest of the sons of Jacob were up to, taking wives here and there and everywhere, and some good, some bad, some good, and then they made them bad, and and their sons were, some of them good and some of them bad, and oh my goodness, there's a lot going on there, wasn't there? Whew. Man, bet your crayons are dull. Mine are. Jeez. Alright, gang, that's all I got for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the study. I hope you're enjoying the book. It's fun to read. It's definitely interesting. It goes alongside the Bible. It doesn't go against anything that the Bible says. Not that I see. If you see where it goes against anything that the Bible says, drop it down in the comments, because I don't see it. I see that it follows right alongside the Bible. It just makes the picture much, much more. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Do you like this study? You don't like this study. Do you think that we shouldn't be studying this book, or do you think it's okay that we study this book? I really want to know. I'm curious, because so far this is the only extra-canonical that we've done that at one time was not Scripture. So, let me know what you think, alright? Put some input in on this book so that we can all share it and we'll mull it around and see what we think of it. Okay? Alright. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on Shabbat. Oh, I see it coming. It's coming around the corner when it comes. Here comes Shabbat. So get ready, gang, and we will see you then. Y'all have a great week. Shalom.